Wait, what's happened? Why is everyone muted all of a sudden?
I don't know, but
Uh,
Alec hasn't connected. Oh, he's connected now.
all right. Oh,
He's
I was
connected.
just I was doing some paperwork. I didn't think everyone was ready yet because like Ben was like, just give me a minute. So I was just like, okay, do some paperwork first.
We're,
Okay.
we're not ready unless Ben's ready because Ben's always like,
Well, I mean, and Pat and Dan, who is not here.
yeah. But we're always ready regardless of Dan because he won't show up if he's got something better on. And then Pat's having a big shit, so we won't hear from him for a bit. And then
Are you-
Ben's started a film 10 minutes before, so he won't be here.
Indiscriminate time before the call, which is probably less than the time he had left before the call.
Why doesn't
Also-
he just stop and then watch it, finish watching it another time?
Emmanuel, that's fucking impossible. Can you that's crazy cool. You can pause a film and come back to it. Like, get out of here.
I mean, I wish I could do that. I could only watch this from just today. I've been really busy this week.
Oh, I haven't even seen your score. By the way, Simon, my mum says hi.
Oh, hi, Stella.
Not to you, Rob. You suck.
That's fine.
Oh yeah. I think I just put in my score, so it should be there. At least I hope that I put in my score properly.
Nice. It's another Rob pick, all right? It's a 9.2.
This was actually surprisingly much better than I thought it would be. Actually, it's actually quite good. Quick question though: is this because this is the version you have? Is it like a redone up version? Like,
What, as in like a remastered version?
yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So it's the Criterion Collection version. So whenever they release something, they just go through the original film and sort of tidy it up a little.
Okay, because it looked a lot more crisper for something that was made in 1960 something, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, this is really good. Then I thought, oh wait, this is probably like touched up a bit here and there. So it's
Yeah.
like because it's like the version that you gave us, I was like, no, like production is still quite high because it still looks quite nice, but it's just like if I saw the original one, it would be like the grainy effects. I might have dropped the production just like half of it, but it's still quite well made. It's quite fun to watch.
May I just say, it was so nice of you to send us all the DVD separately, and that must have cost you a lot of money to do that because they
Yes.
can't have been cheap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially
You're
with
all
the
welcome.
subtitles. That was hard.
And
Yeah.
especially because the Criterion Collection version, we all had to get separate, different region Blu-ray players for it. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
Unless-
The amount
It's not
of
even
money
out
that
in
went
the
into this
UK.
one pick.
Oh, unless you're like me, who has like specialized like DVD players from around the world, from East
Thank
Asia
God
and
we're
in the
all region
States.
free.
Now we can watch them all differently. Yes. Or you can have today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. No, let's not do that.
I think it's going to go, the Pirate Bay.
No.
Oh, man. But yeah, do you know what? Like, when I was scoring it, I was thinking like, when I got to production, I was thinking like a few of the sort of like zooms and like the pans and stuff are like a little bit jittery, but I had to keep thinking like this was before they could go back and look at what they just shot, and they had to like wait months before they could actually see what it looked like. So I can kind of forgive like a little bit of a.
But you can. I think it was when we watched Seven Samurai, and I was just like, fucking hell, the shots on this, where like some of the action was like very like obviously sped up.
Mm.
And I was just like, I was like, you didn't necessarily know how it looked when you started it. Like, well, that effect would have been like really, really early.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, it's kind of a similar thing to Emmanuel's favorite pick of mine, Blowout, because that steady cam shot at the start, like, I mean, it's cool and it doesn't seem like it's anything too spectacular now. But when you remember that this was like way before digital, where they had to like just shoot it and hope for the best, like it's like rather than being able to like play it back and go, right, no, we need to do it again because this has happened, and yeah, like they just had to shoot it and go, right, that felt good enough, we're staying with that.
You know what's really nice? Being at my parents, I've got a copy of Yojimbo staring at.
Oh, very nice.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's visible.
It's too small, but I believe it.
Also, you'll have the magazines I wrote. I don't know if that's on purpose. Fuck it.
It's too small, but I believe it.
I wrote all these magazines.
You probably already know, but with most of the remastering stuff, obviously they just get the negatives, and obviously using AI and film programs, you can just go run it through all again, and it does most of the work. And then, like you say, you just touch up a tiny bit here or there. Like, it's really easy these days remastering anything, as long as you have like some of the original stuff.
As long as you're not changing who shot first and then having to like horribly morph someone's head out of the way of something.
I was
you're
actually going to say something about Disney, because it's supposedly when they remastered Cinderella, they did a touch up. A lot of like the original like imagery and art all got like faded away. So the things where it's supposed to be very sparkly and very nice looking, it looks incredibly bland, because like when you go through like the negatives and stuff, it just like it doesn't show up, and it's like, why is it just, wasn't her dress supposed to be like blue and sparkly? Why is it just like white now? It's so weird looking, because like if someone's got like a VHS original version and it shows like, oh yeah, it's got like sparkles and everything, it's way better. It's like the digital remastered version is like, yeah, it's just clean cut. It doesn't matter. It's just like, yeah, we'll just like buff it out, and oh shit, we just erased the artwork. I mean, we just covered it up. We'll be fine.
I think what gets me is when they leave it in, because like when we watch The Lion King on Disney Plus, there's like a little frame where like Mufasa's eye isn't quite colored correctly, and it's, if you watch it on Disney Plus, it's still not colored correctly. So this has been pointed out by like BuzzFeed of all people, and you're still not. BuzzFeed are more on the ball than you. Is this embarrassing? Like,
it probably don't care. It's still bringing in the money.
Are you trying to say Disney won't care about something artistic integrity wise? Are you trying to claim that about Disney
Yes.
Studios?
Look at most of Marvel. Pay your animators more money.
If you're going to make them make complete shit all the time, Disney.
Oh man, and I like some of the animation for some of the newer Marvel movies as well. It look quite nice, but it's like, oh man, just hearing the stories.
I feel for them. What I was gonna say, you can even try it yourself with remastering. If you've got an old home video, try looking on Google for like remastering software. They're in like video programs and plugins and stuff, and you could make a 4K version of one of your old home videos. Now, it uses AI to kind of fill in the gaps and sharpen it up and stuff, but it works pretty well.
Now, when you say old video, do you mean the VHS?
Emmanuel, you got a little like red fluorescent spot just there. Like, I don't know if that's a problem, but there's like a... Yeah.
Because like, I mean, you say like, I have VHSs in my house still. I'm like, do you guys still have VHS in your house?
Nope.
No, but you can do those as well. Obviously, you have an extra step because you have to digitize those before you can even do that.
I think the
digitizing of a VHS is the problem, though, right? Because actually, now I'm thinking of something else.
You have to buy something specialized. So there's like, I can't remember if it's like a cable. It's like a cable that goes to a USB, and then you have a specialized program. There's different ways to do it, but you can digitize all your VHSs if you want to. And if it's
you just take the VHS tape, and it's got a little hole in the bottom, and you just connect it up to a little cable, and then the cable has like a USB thing at the end, and you just put it into your laptop, and then it's just digitized VHS for it. That's what's happening.
Problem is, sometimes you need to do with a HDMI instead.
Hang on a minute.
Like...
That was bullshit. What did you mean that's all right?
It's kind of, basically.
I just made that up. I made that up because I thought it was stupid and ridiculous.
But it's basically how it's done. You got some little things you connect it, and then to your computer, then it's digitized.
You somehow learned how to digitize VHS by osmosis, and you've just regurgitated it back to us.
I just said this as this isn't possibly how you do it.
But yeah, there's lots of people who did that. It's obviously it was more popular around about maybe 10 years ago, but you can still buy the stuff. It's really cheap to do. But yeah, if you got any old videos, you can remaster them, especially with the AI tech these days. It's actually really, really good.
Well, good news for Paul.
Who's Paul?
You say who's Paul?
He didn't say Paul. Something else beginning with P.
I said porn.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
you did.
I was just trying to give a hint without saying it to Rob.
I like how you said it's something beginning with P. He's just like, oh, that other word beginning with P. It's good news for Paul, though, the porn emperor of the world.
That's the thing. Like when you said it, I was like, Paul Barrow, maybe. I don't know. What has he got a VHS collection?
The little monkey with the 3 eyes at the end of that little title card. Yeah, he's.
Hey, Pat.
All right.
Oh, Pat. Oh, I was going to say you've had a haircut too, but I've seen you in person with a yummy haircut.
Had one like 2 weeks ago or something.
It still looks new.
Seen Pat in person, have you? Leaving me out again? Yeah. Awkward now, isn't it?
No, not really.
Pat's silence said it was on purpose.
we just don't like you.
Oh yeah, just before you came, Pat, we were just talking about how it's so easy to like remaster stuff these days, and how if you've got your old home videos, you can use programs to remaster it to 4K using the AI software, and it turns out pretty good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
Apparently, what you do is you just plug your VHS. There's a little hole in the bottom of the VHS, and you just stick a little cable in it, and then it's got an not HSBC.
HSBC port.
It's got a USB-C port, and then you put it into the laptop, and it just digitizes it. It's fine. Humphrey has not scored yet. I'm not happy
Watched it yet.
because he's fucking whipped. I'm gonna hurt him.
I guess he hasn't watched it yet. Oh, we're both top knot. I need to change my.
There's a certain irony to both bald guys saying we're both top knot.
I didn't want to say it. But you did. Okay, cool.
I'm wearing a hat until mine grows back.
We're all top. God, if only any of the samurai had thought.
But we did it. But me and Rob did it ourselves. So we decided to become monks. That's why. So it's not disgraceful.
Monks.
That would have been a great twist where, like, rather than feigning illness, one of them just turns up in a woolly hat and goes, "No, I'm a bit chilly today. I won't be removing my hat, actually."
That'd have been great if everyone just looks at him like, "Why have you got an Eskimo hood on?" He's just like, "No reason."
Can you not feel the weather?
It's a bit warm. He's just like.
But that's an interesting point, I have to say, in case I forget it later. The fact that they feigned sickness rather than just showed up and said, "I decided to do this and I would like to step down from my position willingly and become a monk or something for the rest of my life and kind of do a change in my life and leave." They were so kind of prideful and so hung up on this way of life, they didn't even think of doing that.
I'm glad you said prideful, because that's That's a word I feel like we'll be using a lot for this one.
Yes.
For honor and all
Which
that
is
stuff.
which
Hello,
is nice because it's
Sunshine.
LGBTQ whatever plus Pride Month apparently.
Oh,
Yes.
Which I
Cool.
said flippantly, I am in support of it. I didn't mean for it to sound like I wasn't.
fucking woke.
That's all right. I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
Oh no, now I like dickhead.
So I was just waiting for Dan.
We're
Hey,
not
no,
waiting
Dan-
for Dan because Dan's not got COVID anymore, so he doesn't care about us anymore. So
What?
yeah, he only
Okay.
cares about us when he's got COVID and he can't go literally anywhere else. So now he's not got it.
Wait, he wasn't here when he had COVID.
Oh,
You
That's
fucking
worse.
bellend.
Okay. Anyways, let's start this off. Rob, why did you pick this film?
why did you pick this absolute masterpiece?
Oh, I wanted to for a while actually. I think I've been talking about wanting to for a while, but it not streaming anywhere, and obviously being so expensive to send the DVD out to you all, is what's put me off. But yeah, we've been going for like what 3.5 years now. So I was kind of like, well, if it's not streaming by now, it's probably never going to be streaming. So I might as well just do it. And yeah, like I just think it's really, really interesting because I really like, well, I find that kind of period of history really interesting. And I really like samurai films as a genre, if you want to call them that. But I think what's cool about this is it kind of subverts it because your typical samurai film is like where they've got an opposition and an opportunity to become a hero. And because this is a time of peace, and you're seeing samurai who are like down on their luck and they're going through difficulties, it's a completely different side to that part of history that isn't really spoken about. And I really like how the film uses that to sort of like, yeah, sort of like cast like a critical eye over it all. And the way that you kind of like, you start off with it sort of playing into the sort of conventions of the genre where you're sort of like siding with the clan and you're like, like this guy probably is a scammer, so you kind of got to make him go through with it, and it's like it's part of your honor code, so why would you not have him go through with it and all of that kind of stuff. That's really cool. But then as it sort of unfolds and you see what he's gone through, and yeah, just kind of like his story, and you start to empathize with him a bit more. I just think that's a really interesting way to kind of like deconstruct the sort of power structure of it all, and sort of show how like that's something that can make people really cruel. And yeah, I think that makes it timeless in a way, because I think that's something that no matter what period of history you're talking about, there's a power structure that's got the potential to make somebody cruel as a result of it. And yeah, I think that's really cool. Also, the scene with the first Harakiri scene where he's made to do it with like the bamboo blade, like that is something that's going to stick with me for life. And even watching it like the third and fourth time this week, when it got to that scene, I was still sat there like, oh my god, that poor guy from 400 years ago. Like, yeah, I find it really difficult to watch that. I think that's such a well done scene, and such a clever way to kind of like draw empathy for a character, for him to like be sitting there like literally like gutting himself out with a blunt bit of bamboo. Yeah, I just think it's a really cool film in general, and yeah.
I must say that the way this. Sorry, my dad's actually in the kitchen and I wanted to wash it tomorrow. Because he's really into this sort of stuff. But like the way that whole scene is reframed, because I started the first time I watched it. I think that's what's so interesting about this script, and this is my introductory statement. So fuck it. But I went into it completely on their side, and I was like, Yeah, fuck you, you fucking idiot. Why are you even? Why would you do that? Like, why would you even invite this if you didn't think they'd tell you to fucking cash in your check, you twat? Yeah, you get that bamboo blade. Knob. And I watched the whole thing going like, this is fucking great. And then like later, yeah, that all gets recontextualized, and you're like, oh. And so the second time I watched it, I was like, this is difficult. And like, I can't look at it anymore. I can't watch that. No, don't. I can't watch. I physically had trouble watching that scene, and like, yeah, and like it was so weird. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, scamming dick, and then the second time I went, no, not motivate you. What a guy! He's so cool. Sorry, I can see Simon just pinching the bridge of his nose there. I'm sorry. I know I fucking butchered that. Is Motome Chijiwa. It's not Chinese. It's Japanese.
Yeah, but like, just call him Moto. It's fine.
Moto. No, Moto.
Yeah.
But
There you go.
I love how that feeds into the scene later on where Hanshiro, like, it's after the three retainers bring him home, and Hanshiro finds out that he's sold his blades, and you've already got the context of that being a really awful thing to do, and like how it's something that no samurai should ever even consider. And then Hanshiro looks at it from the other perspective, and he's like, oh man, this is something that I would never consider, and he did this to provide for my daughter and my grandson. And yeah, I thought that was brilliant.
I think like as soon as you have it all recontextualized, it's just because I think what's so nice about this is I feel like I have a little window into the culture of feudal Japan, samurai culture. Obviously I'm not claiming like this film made me an expert, but I feel like just from like the character interactions and like the context clues, I have more of an understanding of it. And it's like, yeah, that's something that's completely unthinkable to sell your blades. But it's stuff like that that's just kind of written into the script where I'm just like, that wasn't something I necessarily understood. But every time something is explained, there was like a reason for someone to say it. And we can get into that later. But yeah, that scene is so fucking good when he's like, "Oh my god, you fucking sold your blades." That wasn't even something that even occurred to me, and it's just kind of like,
which is
yeah,
funny.
That is the pride of a samurai. That's something that doesn't even occur to you. You will sell everything, and you say it. You say to your like dying grandchild, "I have sold everything we can, and we can't sell anything else." And then you go, "Fuck! I could have sold the samurai swords."
Yeah.
And it's like it sounds silly when I say it, but it's like, yeah, if you're a samurai, you wouldn't even think of doing that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I just generally understand now because of stuff in the script. I didn't need someone going, "It's unthinkable. The samurai to sell the samurai swords. I'm Ghost in the Shell. Goodbye."
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you two people in a boat talking about the importance of the samurai sword. But yeah, I was going to say this movie is interesting because this is essentially the beginning of the end of samurai. This is because they mentioned the battle of I'm going to butcher the fucking pronunciation, Sengakihara, which is like one of like the worst like samurai battles in Japan.
Just say Sengi.
Senki bat.
Yeah, but Sengakihara is the first name. Then you have like the second part of the name. I don't even remember.
Don't listen to me. I don't know fuck all.
But the point is that during that battle was like the bloodiest. Like most people died because of samurai swords and the introduction of guns. That is the beginning of the decline of samurais anyway. So it's like seeing him like not because essentially after a while, the new government's gonna come during that time period and go, all right, we're gonna take all your samurai swords anyway because there's no such things as samurai anymore. So it's a whole different like class system as well. So him selling the swords was already bad enough, and him doing that without his swords was so horrendous. I can't even imagine, because essentially it's not like a bamboo sword is still sword, right? It's like not really sharpened, but like, damn, that's like trying to cut your stomach open with a fucking spoon, essentially. And that's like, oh, I couldn't. Ugh. Just like, yeah, the image stuck in your mind because of that, and it's like, okay, I get. Like even like first time I watched it the first time a few hours ago, and I'm like, even when I watched first, I was like, that's a bit mean, right? It's like, don't be mean. Give him like a proper sword, right? He's just, yeah, and he just like he went so much pain that he had to bite out his own. He bit out his own tongue, and I was like, yeah, okay.
When you watched it the first time with the Godzilla subtitles, were you just kind of like,
no,
there's a giant monster and it's destroyed the whole city with its Tokyo breath, and it's just gone like,
no.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was so
good. I was half asleep, and I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. I skipped ahead where like I thought it was like, oh, maybe it's just like a lag thing. So I skipped ahead to where they were talking, and it's like, oh, we have to watch the waterways and the government, and the chancellor from Tokyo is going to go, okay, no, this this is definitely the.
It must have been so weird when he's like halfway through doing it, and then he looks up at the guy and he goes like, "No, it's just got bigger," and he's gone.
We have to hit him with it from the gut.
I think I was watching it like 1 a.m. At least I tried to watch it 1 a.m. I was like, oh wait, no, wrong subtitles. Oh, fuck it, I just gotta sleep. I'll watch it later. And I was like, yeah, but it was. Watching this film, it's so good because it's like, if you don't know about samurai, it's kind of interesting to see like they bring up like the dynamics and like how they work and how they would live and survive. But if you do know about samurai and like have a certain knowledge behind it, and you see like the context of what, especially it's mostly near the ending scenes of the big fight, that has a lot of context there, which I'll go into much later. But it's like, all right, if you know Japanese samurai history, that's cool. That's cool to know, because like you can see why they did it in that particular way, or what happened there has a lot of meaning behind it. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I actually liked like the history behind it, because it really builds up upon itself, and it gives it a lot of like, you know, sense, and it's got like the passion and feelings of like what you say would be a samurai movie, and it's like, that's cool. Seeing all together.
I do like that you specified Japanese samurai, as in not a Japanese samurai. I fucked that up. Not a samurai from Croydon.
Yeah.
I mean, technically speaking, the term samurai just means swordsman. So technically, you could have a samurai from Korea, especially if you have the Korean.
I said Croydon.
Oh, Croydon. Sorry. Okay, never mind. Okay. So if I was saying like, I thought you said Korea, I was like, okay, must have lagged out. And I was saying like, there's actually history there.
I appreciate you humoring me though. Like, you're just going like, he said Korea. Like, there were swordsmen in Korea. I'm just gonna let it go for the next. Like, you know, I will explain this to him properly. However,
okay.
And I was like, no, I said Croydon.
Croydon. Okay, yeah.
Brixton Samurai.
Oh, that sounds like the worst fucking rapper as well, you know. Yeah. Brixton Samurai, bitches. I was like, oh, you just make because just saying it out loud made me cringe. Ugh.
Samurai from Western Superman.
Honestly, I was I was kind of surprised when I first watched. That's the first one. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was surprised when I Motome. I thought, oh, I was expecting him to go, you know what? I can't do this. I'd rather you just kill me. But he still had that kind of pride as a samurai and swordsman to kind of, he's going to do this properly so that at least if he struggles through this, even though he's messed up and this idea didn't work out, at least he'll be able to see his son and daughter when they do join him on the other side. Because that's obviously that's how much they believed in that passage to the next life. If you didn't try to do it properly, even if it was right in whatever wrongs you made, then you didn't get there. If you were just killed like that, like despicably, it's not in battle honorably. It's just like, man, he's still thinking about, you know, his wife and kids through all that. It's just effed up. But
That's such an interesting point as well, because it's like, why not just let the other retainers just fucking murder you? Like, is that not better? And it's like, you don't get like the honor out of doing that. Yeah, at least this way you get the honor still, and that's what that's what the point of it is. And this is what I mean when you're looking at, you're getting glimpses of feudal Japan culture through it. It's like, why doesn't he just take the easy route? And it's just like, no, the easy route isn't the point. The point is that you suffer and you get honor out of this, and at least he gets the honor out of it as far as he's concerned. Like, there's so much intent in that, and it's just like, God, sorry, I interrupted you.
So, like I said, I can't talk much, so I'll say a little bit here and there. Main thing I liked about the film is the attention to detail, and in terms of how they treated everything, in terms of majority of the acting, the scripting, the physical movements of how they would do everything. I know for them, a lot of these films were very much more common, and you still had many more dojos than these days, still teaching people like how samurais and stuff would have trained back then. In those days, more it's just, you know, to keep fit and stuff if you're interested in this kind of thing, unless you're you who train to kind of whatnot. They did very well. Like, even how they would like kind of walk or run about the place, the way they always walk or run is so ingrained in them. It's very different from the average person or just anyone else who's even just a fit, like, I guess, quite a fit runner or whatnot. They do it in a very specific way because this is how they've done since they were young or children or whatnot. This is how they've trained, and it kind of shows in just older things, and even the way like you have some of the ones that are able to sit when they're viewing the Harakiri compared to the ones who have to kneel in the different positions and everything. It's interesting. It was just nice seeing it all. Like, it felt like, yes. But then I'm not surprised because it's Japanese, so, but it's Japanese. But I don't, but then saying that, I haven't seen a lot of stuff, so I'm sure there's bad stuff as well. But obviously, the director is great and won awards at the Cannes festivals and stuff, so I assume it's a quality director. So, yeah, did really well.
All hail the Monkey King.
That's something that I wanted to talk about, actually. You mentioning the director, because Yeah, I really like him, man. So like he did this, he did The Human Condition, Samurai Rebellion. He did a really interesting like samurai horror film that I forgot the name of. But like he's got so many like really, really cool films, but he's somebody you don't really like, you don't tend to hear the name of very much. And yeah, because I think like that sort of like if you think of the golden age of samurai cinema being like sort of like the 50s and 60s. The only name that you
Simmerer, if
really
you
hear
will.
the only name you really hear from it is Akira Kurosawa. But yeah, interestingly, Masaki Kobayashi and Akira Kurosawa were in a film club together.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
No, Pat, because you probably remember the name of this game. What's the like most recent best kind of samurai
Ghost
game?
of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I only remember so quickly because I was playing it today.
He's playing it right now.
Oh. Have you tried playing it with the black and white filter? More like an old movie.
Yeah, so I've got the PS4 and the PS5 version. I want to play through the PS4 in the black and white, and then the PS5 in the all the colourful stuff.
Nice.
We've got someone nice. There's someone who has proper appreciation of like video game arts. That's not John.
Like, oh, for it's so artistic and just beautifully done. But like, what have you thought about it so far?
Oh, it's an amazing game. But I don't want to speak about it too much because I know Alex doesn't like the video game stuff as much anymore.
You talk about it as much as you like. Don't let me stop you.
Well, let's progress into Pat. What did you think about the film?
No, talk about the game. It's fine.
Like Rob was talking about the director for this one, how like his name sort of doesn't pop up that much. I mean, like before Film Club, I'd never even heard of Akira Kurosawa.
Really?
Yeah. Like
you've made Ben have a fit.
to be fair, like up until Film Club,
he's
the only
turned into the head from Art Attack.
up until Film Club, the only samurai film I watched was The Last Samurai, which is sort of, you know.
That was my gateway film as
Tom
well.
Cruise. Yeah.
It's like could be worse, I guess.
Honestly, I remember that coming out when we were like, what, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, man, samurais are well cool. And that was my gateway film. So I will say nothing bad about that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good film, but that's probably for another day, isn't it?
Another pick.
It's shit.
It's good.
It's not.
No,
it's just all right.
I haven't watched it the whole way through. I have no idea.
This one I really liked, though it's something I'm probably gonna have to watch again because I guess a lot of stuff has sort of just gone over my head. So I didn't have full understanding of it, but I did like what I watched. The whole bamboo thing. I sat there watching it like as if it was any other film. It didn't really make me uncomfortable or anything like that.
Oh man!
But like the
Oh, bamboo.
Let
guy that
Jesus
was-
stab you with bamboo.
the guy that was there who was sort of like, oh, I want this guy to chop my head off, and then like all three of them was ill.
Yeah.
And just the sort of story he sort of built up, like that really hooked me. But like I say, it's something I need to watch again to get like a full grip of it. But I did like what I saw, and I'm probably going to go back and watch the director's other stuff as well.
Is that you advocating picking The Human Condition?
Yeah.
Ooh.
No, not
Come
me.
on, mate.
You.
No. I'm happy to pick it, but it's 10 hours long.
Is it?
Yeah.
Have Rob told us this?
Oh shit.
But
I mean,
Rob's
if
gonna
you pick it,
he's only
fine.
going to pick it when John comes back to Film Club.
That's not going to happen,
It
is
is
it?
really interesting, to be fair, because it is similar to Harakiri. Because, like, where in Harakiri the whole thing is like challenging the power structure and like looking at how the power structure is the thing that makes humans bad and like all of that kind of stuff. It's all that's all in the human condition as well, but it's set in World War II, and it's about a pacifist who rises through the ranks of the army. It's really interesting. It's yeah.
Is that streaming?
I think it is actually. Yeah, I think it's on Apple TV.
Rob won't have to send it to us all individually.
Well, like he sent this one.
Yeah, like he sent that one. Yeah, that would be great.
What just to go back to what I had said before, the reason I had brought it up briefly, the game, was mainly because a lot of these films, like the film we watched in
Excuse me.
the kind of golden age of the samurai films, they were the main inspiration and reference for that game.
Yeah.
It also has that black and white mode as well for people who really appreciate those films, because you feel like you're immersed in playing through that world, and they really try and make it really feel beautiful. So if you ever do like decide to like play those type of games, play that. I think you really like it, Bob, and really appreciate it. It's just
Yeah, I might have a look at it actually, because when I did see a little while ago on YouTube, there was a clip of somebody playing it, and the title of the video was something like Akira Kurosawa mode, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, is that a thing? And yeah, so yeah, I might pick it up and like have a look at it for that reason.
Before we move on, when you do eventually get your PlayStation, or have you got it with you still?
Yeah, I got it with me. Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you sign up to the PSN, their little game collection thing, it's on there, so you won't
Oh,
even
okay.
have to pay extra to play it.
Nice. Oh, so I might have a look tomorrow in that case.
Benjamin.
about to say, who's next?
Someone.
It's always Benjamin. Benjamin's always the last to arrive. He's the last guy to do his intro.
And the last one to tank the film.
Yeah. No, you were early on that one.
No, I do think it is a magnificent film. I
Is
think
that a reference?
it's just maybe not, but let's talk about that later. It is. If I think it's one of those films that the more you talk about, the more you appreciate, and the more you go back to. It is a very tough watch, and I think that I need to kind of live with it a lot more and go back to it over the years to really appreciate it, like how smart it is. Because I think when Rob spoke about it, it's kind of like, oh, I understand it more now. The way he's like laid out the purpose and the meaning behind it is quite not only just was it like ahead of its time, but it's still relevant to this day in a way that you might not think like on the surface. It's just and the whole story is quite very, very subtle, and it kind of doesn't like some films kind of paint things with a obvious kind of, what's the phrase where it's like, oh, all the cliches are kind of like in exposition dialogue, and it's just so like, oh, this is this person's motives, this is what they do. This film does none of that, which is why it's so clever. And so you have to really kind of keep your wits about you when you watch this movie. Like Seven Samurai, it's all about what the characters do and their choices they make with each other and what they say. It kind of like moves the story from A to B, and it's more like what the characters don't do as well. I think it's quite important, and I think probably what's so like poignant about it is kind of how someone can get so like into like what is it? It's not really a samurai way of life. Isn't really a religion. It's kind of like a philosophy they hold to, isn't it? And how they get so wrapped up into it, and then they realize that what they've been loyal to kind of has their own endgame and own motives, which kind of makes them second guess each other. So it's very like disheartening, and you can really picture how the characters must deal with this sort of like coming to this horrible conclusion and how they must feel. And yeah, it's a tough one to watch. So it's like, I'm on Manuel's side. It's not an enjoyable film to watch at all, but it's a fascinating one. So, and you just appreciate like the bits I like the most are like just the lingering shots of just like their faces and then just their reactions to what they've just learned and how they process the information when it's kind of like, oh damn, this is what we're here for, this is what we're doing. And the two storylines are so compelling in that way. Like Alex said, I think it's quite a compelling film. It's literally, you're locked on the screen as soon as it starts, even if it's kind of like a bit of a horrible experience, especially the bit where the poor kid and who's dying of the sickness. That's so horrible, but it's still like you want to know how they ended up where they were and how they came to that conclusion that Harakiri is the right of passage. So yeah, that's my takeaway on it. Even though I didn't enjoy it and probably loved it as much as some of you guys, but I still really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said is really true, man. Because I don't think this is a film that. Well, I think it's a film that benefits from you sort of like going away and like digesting it. Like, I don't think you can really make a snap judgment on it just because there's so much packaged into it. But yeah, like just yeah, on like a couple of things you said about like sort of being hooked from the start. I think it's such a great setup of like having a samurai show up and request to commit harakiri on a clan's forecourt using the same words as another samurai who did it before. Because it instantly, like I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And like it's such like a it's such a neat like it's such a neat, compelling mystery to set up so quickly. Actually, I remember the first time I watched it. I remember starting it on my laptop because I downloaded it. Whoops.
Whoa!
I remember,
It was all legal.
I remember starting it on my laptop, and literally, like as soon as you get that opening shot of the suit of armor, and there's like smoke around it and stuff, I just remember being like, "Oh man, this is going to be brilliant." And yeah, just like that whole setup, I really loved. But it's weird about because it's a very personal thing. So obviously, I don't expect everybody to like have this experience with it. But in a way, like I find it quite comforting because I suppose it's kind of like the attitude or like the spirit of the film. It kind of reminds me of my dad because the way that it sort of like sets everything up to go like this is a very small example of it, but my dad always used to do this. I can't think of anyone that I've ever met who had more empathy than my dad had. And I always think of like these little things that he used to say. And one example, it is a very small example, is I remember my mum coming home once and she was really angry because our next door neighbor hadn't said hello to her. And so she was going like, "Oh, can you believe she ignored me? I can't believe how rude she is. She didn't say hello." And my dad was just like, "Did you say hello?" And she was like, "No." And it was just like, and the film kind of like has that kind of spirit because it's like you hear the story first and you're kind of going like, "Oh man, that guy's acting dishonorably and like he's done an awful thing." And then it goes, "But have you considered that he had this going on?" And yeah, I really love that.
Emmanuel at the back.
Sorry, to follow on from what one of the things Ben said. A lot of the samurai, their kind of practices were merged with a lot of things from Buddhism and local kind of differences as well. Some of the local religions as well as Buddhism. So they kind of did follow a religion as well, which is why they thought so strongly about the afterlife or the next kind of life or their version of that, and how they had to do certain things so they could go to that life. but obviously it might have been slightly different for each region, depending where they were. Oh, what were you gonna say, Simon?
No, I mean yes, but it's religion and class system is what I want to say, because
Yeah.
it's very similar to, I would say, British knights, but it's very actually not just British knights, crusade knights, because it's you're a knight, but it's very Christian, but a knight is like a status. I mean, it's a job, but it's
Yeah.
a status as well. So it's a bit. I would say it's a mix of both, if you know what I mean. It's like it's not really. You can't. It's not separated. It's like kind of blended together, but it's blended in a way that it's like I have a reference growing up with like Christianity and what they did in Crusades, so I can kind of compare it to what they would do in Japan and stuff.
Yeah, that also makes sense for why, just before you came, Ben, I was saying it shows just how prideful the three guys were who rather feign sickness than make up the excuse that, you know what, I cut it off myself. I want to become a monk. I want to step down from my position, X, Y, and Z, and step away from this kind of life and lead, a much more meaningful life and X, Y, and Z. But they didn't want to do that, of course. They wanted things to stay the same. They wanted to remain that class, that pride, that pay. They all that to stay the same. But they didn't do that. It just they were
That
hanging
would
out.
have been a very funny scene, to be fair, if they were just going, do you know what? I did this myself. I've had to think about my lifestyle. And then Hanshiro turns up and he's just like, no, you didn't. We faced off in a field. I took your time. I was planning to get to this later, but
But by that point,
but
they've been low gone. They're at some other Buddhist temple somewhere. Like, yes, we're monks. It's so quick. Just like,
this is something I think is very interesting as well, because like I think this is all central to Hanshiro's point in that like you have Kawabe and Yazaki, and I can never arrange these letters in the right way, but I'll just say like the main dickhead. They're embarrassed to have their top knots taken, and so they feign sickness to like avoid scrutiny. But the whole thing that's central to Hanshiro's point is that Motome didn't get to. He had to kind of lay out his shame in front of everybody. And in that way, he's so much more worthy than they are, because they get to hide it, and he didn't.
Yeah,
and he was.
Sorry. Didn't one of them actually commit Harakiri afterwards, though?
Yeah, the guy whose name I can't arrange into letters.
The best swordsman guy.
Captain Dickhead. He actually does commit Harakiri. Yazaki and Kawabe, they don't. They have to be forced into it, and like that was something else I quite liked, actually. Like the like Saito actually gets he kind of insists that they do it, and the attendant's like, oh my fucking god, what? And he's just like, force them to do Harakiri, because like that's the best thing for them. I want them to have honorable deaths, but like we can't have people know that they why they had to. So I'm gonna have to say it was illness. I'm gonna have to say it was illness, because I can't have the clan's reputation fucked up. But I would like to give them honorable deaths.
Yeah, and I think
I was like, oh, what a lovely little bit of culture that is. I'm not gonna acknowledge it as an honorable death. I'm not gonna record it as an honorable death. I'm gonna give you that.
But I think
I'm not gonna.
That whole thing is a really clever bit of writing, I think, because you've got Hanshiro doing the whole thing about how like this whole thing is a facade, and like it doesn't mean anything. And you've got him sort of like fighting this losing battle up to a point where it gets to the end and they just like completely erase what's happened. And you got them sort of like the only thing that they've got is their honor, and then that's what's making them act dishonorably. I think that's really cool, and I think it's doubly cool because Hanshiro is the one who, despite calling it all a facade and like washing his hands of the whole thing, is the only one who has acted with any honor in the whole thing.
It's great as well because when I first watched this movie, and they started off with like him writing in the book, and him was just going on about some nonsense. Yes, because we went. Yes, and so brought a trout over to the castle, and it was like when I first started it, I was like, okay, that's a very weird thing. But then it ended with him writing in the book as like, oh, this is like the diary, and it's like a thing. This is the falsified information that they had for the day, and I was like, oh yeah, and he's like, yes, and he had weird delusions when he was about to commit Harakiri, as all men do, and it's like, oh, I see what you're doing here, yeah, because you want to make it seem like he still died honorably by doing the Harakiri. Yeah, okay, I get you, but because you don't want the dishonor of knowing that one man was able to kill like 4 of your people and like injure 8 more, and like you lost top of your 3 top retainers to just one dude. That's like, yeah, sneaky.
Well,
yeah,
the thing you don't say, you don't want to go like, hey, you had to commit Harakiri because some half-starved Ronin took your top knot. What a fucking fun sentence that was. But like, you don't have to go into it. Like he just makes that decision, and he's just like, I know exactly how to navigate this. It's fucking shit, but I know exactly how to do this one. You get to have an honorable death, but we can't record it. If we record it, we have to answer other questions. So we're just going to have to say that illness took you. And you get to have that honorable death. Like, that's my gift to you. But I can't say you had one. And it's like, man, that's such a cool little bit of, like, just understanding of that culture. Like, you understand the significance of that.
Yeah.
I gift you that. I shouldn't. That's not the truth. However, I can't dishonor our Lord like that because it's all about appearances. Like, that's so cool.
Like, speaking of that kind of like circular narrative kind of thing with the daily record, I really like the suit of armor because you kind of start with the suit of armor, and it's like built up as this really important thing, and like you see, I'm gonna butcher like the pronunciation of this because I have no idea how to say it, but I think his name is Kageyu. So
wait, are you talking about the guys who armor belongs to?
Yeah. So
that's the Takeda Shingen armor. I instantly knew. I know, yeah.
You fucking white idiot.
I knew instantly whose armor that was. I was like, that's the Takeda Shingen. Yeah, and they say his name, which was the point I was gonna go to, like right at the end, why it has a lot of meaning. But like, it's the Takeda Shingen armor.
Sorry. I really like the sort of like the repeating sort of motive of it, because you've got like, it's sort of like in this sort of ceremonial position, and they even go and talk to the armor and sort of like use it as kind of like almost like a sort of like a place where they can go and get advice about what they're going to do and sort of how they can act honorably, and sort of
like a shrine.
Like a shrine, so they can like gauge what they're supposed to do with like the situations that they're in and all of that kind of stuff. And then that last, well, towards the end, where Hanshiro just gets it and smashes it, and it's just like, oh man, that's so perfect, because that's exactly what you've been talking about. You've been talking about this like big sort of like facade with all its like air of grandeur and everything, and you've just smashed it on the floor and there's nothing inside it. And then after that happens, it's on the floor, it's completely hollow, it doesn't mean anything anymore, and then they just rebuild it, and it's as if it didn't happen. And I think that's perfect.
Oh, but it's built misaligned. If you notice, ever so slightly, it's not. It's off kilter.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's like, yeah.
That's
so it's
even
just like,
better.
but it has another meaning because like this is very history buffs behind it and video games. But like Takeda Shingen is like their family's like ancestor from like another 200 to 300 years ago, and it's very like beginning when like he used to use very like mounted cavalry units and stuff. He died, or he lost a lot of his lost one of his final battles because guns were brought into Japan, and the fact that he essentially he dies in the battlefield because he gets shot a lot, and he falls because of guns. It's ironic because his armor falls because of guns. You fucking again, and I was like, oh, that's historically accurate. And I was like, oh wow, that has such a double meaning behind it. Yeah, I know, because when I played Shogun Total War 2, I was the guy who had the guns, and I killed all of his men. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly how this feels like. I kind of felt a bit hollow because I killed too many people. I was like, ooh, that's not so good. Yeah. Great references.
I actually fucking love that as a metaphor. Like, just the idea you put it all back and it's back and it's misaligned. Like, this is. Sorry, I know we're only in round 2 of the year, but like this, I think this might be my pick for like best film. I'm willing to put this up against like anything else that comes up. Like,
of all time.
I mean, April is soon. April the 1st is soon.
Not of all time. Oh no, not a Simon pick. That'll definitely threaten the best film of the year.
It might do, actually, depending on what I pick.
Oh,
he has got quite a list.
yeah, where's that gonna land, Simon? Where are you gonna spin the wheel?
I mean, Rob knows. He knows the list. I just gotta roll that dice. We're gonna see how it goes.
No, man, I'm raising the gauntlet. This is great. This is a fucking fantastic film. I defy anyone to have a go at this.
We have GOAT round after this round, so you got to say you got to put this film against everyone's GOATs.
I would, to be honest. I was going to pick this for GOAT round, but I didn't want to like raise the expectations.
Shit, really? Wow. Okay, I am very interested to see what everyone's greatest of all times is. Then,
if I beat this, I'm gonna say no. This is really good.
This is what I was saying about Masaki Kobayashi, though, because like you never really hear him mentioned among like the great directors, but I do genuinely believe that this is like within. I find like the term "greatest film of all time" like a bit silly because it's just like, what do you judge that on? But I think any film that you could mention as the greatest of all time, I think this is up there. I wouldn't put it outside of that category.
I think just having like the structure of it. You watch it the very, 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 very first time. Okay, and you have it all just unfold. And you start with it, and like I don't blame a single person for acting as they do in any of this. I think everybody acts as they should act. And it's like you have this guy, you have this Ronin show up, and this Ronin saying, "I want to commit Harakiri in your yard. Do you mind?" Obviously paraphrased a little bit. Is it cool? Say
hey, man, can you do me a favor?
Hey, buddy.
And then Hanshiro turns up like, "Hey, man, can you do me a favor?" And they're like, "We've heard that before."
Having that whole thing play out, and you don't know what it is yet, and you have it all play out, and you like I think Egypt obviously just you the first like I don't want to say half, I want to say like a quarter. You have the first quarter and you play out and you're in the mindset of the E clan. And you're like, yeah, fuck this guy. This guy's fucking shit. Like, what the fuck? Why even do this? What is your if you're gonna extort us, at least do it a bit fucking better, you idiot. Like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a bamboo blade, you prat. Of course I am. You like why are you even insulting me with this shit level scam? Fuck you. And you take pleasure in it, and you're like, yeah, go on, fuck it, yeah, like just stab yourself.
Yeah. And that's another thing though, right? Because it does all of the subversion stuff and like the meta stuff that's like really popular now, but it does it in such a cleverer way. Because like I was saying at the start, right? If you look at your sort of like usual samurai film, whether that's like an Akira Kurosawa one or any other one, like it's not taken away from them. Like they still are brilliant films, but they're all the kind of thing where like the samurai is this sort of like stoic character who is the hero for one reason or another, and you've got like these big sort of like elaborate fight scenes and like these big like spectacle deaths and all of this kind of stuff, and the message is very much like the samurais were really cool. And like I say, like there is an element for that. Like there's like the one side of the story is that, but I think the other side of the story is this. And yeah, I think it's really cool to subvert it in that way, in like a really meaningful way. But also like the meta stuff that comes in later, or at least how I read it, is that you've got this whole thing about like Hanshiro turning up and fighting a losing battle, and in his world, what he's done is completely erased and nobody remembers it, and it was completely pointless. But by the film existing, it does exist in our world, so we can go and question the power structures that we're in, and I think that's brilliant.
And that was something that I hadn't actually considered. Like when you said if that happens in our world, because I really got like a little bit upset about the idea that it just gets erased from history entirely. And I was like, fuck, that's so shit. I was like, but does it happen? Does it happen in that world? And I was like, yes, it absolutely does happen in that world. Why would you draw attention to it? Why on earth would you say we like forced a guy to commit like the worst kind of harakiri? And then this other guy shows up and he's connected to that guy, and then he fucking like he hasn't eaten in like 4 days, and then he just he just deletes fucking half our people. Like, yeah, why do you bring that up? Why do you write that down?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, how do you win? And I'm like, he's not in it to win. He's in it to cause them fucking problems. And the fact that they have an embarrassment to try and cover up, I think is his point. He's not in it to be remembered because he knows he's never going to be remembered. He's in it to cause like these retainers to go, we don't actually talk about May the 16th. Something really, really bad happened. Let's call it illness. And he's there to just be that little immortal, invisible little thing that no one says anything about. And it's just he's just that little presence who was there, and no one's gonna know about it, but he's gonna cause them just a little bit of trouble. And it's like, I love that. That's what I mean. When you watch this film, you start in the first quarter being on their side. You go, yeah, he's a scammer. Fuck him. What's this guy gonna do? And because when I was watching it, I was like, there's a little bit of repetition here, and there's a little bit of repetition where you have him start to Saito starts to tell the story, and he goes, "How do you feel about this first half of the story?" And Hanshiro goes, "Oh, yeah. And he goes, how'd you feel about? And he goes, oh, you mean this? And he goes, yeah. So yeah, no, I feel fine. And he tells him the rest of the story, and he goes, how'd you feel about that? And the Henchiro goes, oh, you mean this? And I was like, why did you repeat that? What was the purpose of repeating that? And I was like, oh, because the purpose of repeating that is he's waiting. He's waiting for something to waver. He's waiting for a difference in reaction. And the point is, he doesn't get one. He goes, we forced him to commit a Harakiri. Fuck. Harakiri. He goes, we forced him to commit Harakiri. And he's like, what do you think? And he goes, fine. No probs. And he goes, well, we actually made him do it, and it happened. It was horrible. It was horrible, and he died. Bit out his tongue. How'd you feel about it? And he goes, oh, about Harakiri? Yeah, no worries. That's all fine. And I was like, why is that repetition there? And I was like, it's there to show he doesn't give a single fuck about this.
He was so ready to fucking die. He was like, yeah, I know I was there. I know the results of what happened. Let's get to the main point where you bring out the guy. Let's go. Yeah, you mean about this? Yeah, yeah, I know about it. Yeah. I know about it personally. Oh wait, you don't know that I know, but I fucking know about it. And it's like,
I was looking.
So good.
I was doing that thing that I did with the thing. I was where I was looking for clues early on.
It did the thing.
I did the thing where I was looking at the thing and I was waiting for things to imply the thing, but I was looking for clues, and I was going, "What's happening here?" And he says, "I came here with every intention to die," and I was like, that's so good. That's very good, because that kept me going the whole time. So every time that I went, if he talks too much, Saito's going to get pissed off. Saito's going to lose patience. He's going to just go, can you just kill this guy? He's just talking too much. Can you just fuck him up? And the whole time I was like, what happens if that happens? And I was like, the ending gets accelerated. And I was like, this is really good. This is a really, really good story. Because if at any point Saito gets irritated and just goes, can you just kill him? He's getting fucking annoying. Then we just accelerate straight to the end. We don't hear the whole story, but everything just ends up as it does. And it's like, yeah.
I mean, that nearly happened in the movie as well, because he was like, oh, it's a facade, yeah? All right, just killed this mongrel. And it's like, oh, I finished talking. Let me finish talking, then we'll get into this shit. Okay. Then I was like, oh, right, yeah, because you know, all the guys in the space was like, no, wait, I ain't done yet. And I was like, oh, yeah, so good, just to see him do it. I was like, and he goes, because he draws the sword, like puts it back down. I was like, okay, so where was I? Amazing, so good.
It is so good. Like,
yeah. The way he just kept, I was just like, man, he's just like, well, gonna die anyway, so you're gonna listen. If you don't listen, I'm gonna cut a few of you up until you listen. Okay, you listening? Okay, cool.
I think that's like, God, I would just have loved it if he just sat down that time of this. But like, that's the thing. It's just the threat of that. Like, if you want to get started, I'll have a fucking fight with your guys, and a lot of them are going to get injured. And I don't mind how many of them get injured, but you're going to mind. So you might as well just listen to what I have to say. And then yeah. But I was like, all the time I'm like, is this a contrivance? Is this is this, how much is he willing to like let happen? I'm just like, it doesn't matter, because every time in any instance where he goes like, "Oh fuck, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered hearing about this guy's dead grandchild. Can you just kill him?" It will just accelerate to the end. It's like, yeah, man, this is great. This is so cool. Because he's already done all this. He's already done all the stuff. He's already taken all the top knots. All that's left to him now is he's gonna fucking just kill everybody, or as many people as he can, and then commit harakiri. Like this, yeah. The fact it goes on so long, because I got to tell you, I don't know about the choreography. I'm gonna show it to my dad tomorrow. I don't know if the choreography looks bad to me because it's bad, or because it looks bad because it's really good. You know what I mean?
Kind of.
Choreography can look. Choreography can be bad because characters aren't being directed properly, but it can also look bad because it's an actual fight and you're not very composed in a fight. So you just fuck up and make mistakes.
Wait, are you talking like the duels or like the big fight scene at the end?
Duels, fight scenes, both of them. I was kind of looking at them and going like, does this look shit because this choreography's shit? Or is this does this look shit because it's like really good fighting? You know how like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of fighting isn't composed, so you're going like, is this something you do? So I'm going to ask my dad about it because he's got like 2 black belts and he's going to work on his 3rd. So if you've got a better authority on this, I don't know, but I'm going to check with my dad.
Which part?
All of it.
Yeah, because fighting in real life is not fighting in movies most of the time.
Yeah.
Because fighting in the movies is like you guys watched Creed, right? Or were you going to watch Creed, right? Obviously, boxing match. It looks because it's very cinematographic. Every punch is like slow, like you got that animation. Punch, yeah. But a real boxing match is like this. And it's like, oh wow, that looks a bit shit. It doesn't look nice to see on film, but it's like, yeah, but that's how you box in real life. It's not supposed to be. It's not that pretty.
Anytime you see choreography where a character will throw a punch and then leave his arm there, bollocks. Doesn't happen. You don't punch like that. You always bring your arm back, don't you? So anytime I see the Mandalorian have a fucking fist fight, and he just goes, "Oh, an arm! I have an arm now," and he just wraps an arm up, and he just punches the fuck out of someone because they forgot they also have a left arm. So they just go, because they're meant to be getting punched in that scene, so they just don't have a left arm.
Okay. There was one instance of that where I thought, that doesn't quite make sense. It's when he was holding the guy with the spear, but it's like, take off the spear, grab your sword, let go of your spear, grab your sword. I mean,
I was looking at it because I was going like, right, he's got all these people, and he's like holding them, sort of. He's doing this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just imagine the flag behind me, but he's doing this. And he's trying to keep him in his peripheral vision, and like they're not attacking him all at once, but they're all trying to look for their opening. And I was kind of looking at it like, you don't want to be the guy who strikes first necessarily, because if you strike first, he's just gonna fucking murder you. So they were all going, I don't want to be the first guy to hit him, but someone's got to hit him. So they're all kind of like waiting, because they're all kind of being like kind of cautious.
The only thing I would say, so I personally thought all the choreography except the fight in the fields was pretty spot on in terms of realistic, because at the same time when he pointed this out, none of them, I don't think any of them had actually been in a real battle, a real war.
Right, yeah, that was mentioned in the story, wasn't it? Yeah,
I really like that.
even the best swordsmen, they were only best in a kind of like in a
Yeah,
kind.
shit, I forgot. Yeah, that's one of the best fucking insults ever. Yeah, he's like the best swimmer on dry land. He's never
That's-
actually been in water before.
That's something I want to show to my dad and go like, hey, does this one hold up? Is this the fighting of a guy who's like just learnt about it in schools, or is it a fighting of a guy who's actually like been in a fight?
Yeah, and a lot of those other ones were still students. They weren't as good, so they are going to be looking quite crappy at points because they aren't that good, and they
Because that's
haven't.
the thing. You look at fights involving a lot of people, and they're not Assassin's Creed cinematics. They look like shit.
Yeah,
So I'm going like, is this choreography really, really good because it looks like shit? Or is it really, really good? Like really, really bad because it looks like shit?
and even the one in the field, for most part, it was good. There was one or two moments were iffy, and maybe that was the only shots they had. So, but otherwise, again, that was pretty good because obviously the other guy, he's taking it as like, okay, this is a formal bout. Yes, like we always do in the dojo. And he's approaching it like that. And obviously the other guy's just like, what's this guy doing?
So I think there's like a samurai fight. I don't know which. Sorry, my dad showed me so many samurai films when I showed up, grew up.
Grew up.
He showed me when I growed up. He showed me so many samurai films, and there was one. And I can't. I think it's from Sanjuro. I can't remember, but there's one fight which is literally like they engage blades, and then literally just goes, and he just cuts him, and like he just explodes.
What the crap?
Funnily enough, the guy who plays Hanshiro is in that fight.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But it's like a 2-second fight, and I went, fucking, that was shit. And Dad went, that's kind of how a lot of sword fights went. It was just over in 2 seconds,
Exactly.
and you just died, and he literally just went bang, bang, and he just cuts him, and he's just been like bisected from like up here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, motherfucker, that was so shit. And I was expecting like a Revenge of the Sith kind of level fight, and I was like, no, it wasn't like that. You just die in like fucking 2 shots. I was just like, shit, that's crap.
Yeah, unless you got, and Pat will probably experience this a lot in Ghost of Tsushima, but unless you get two people of a very similar level, the fight doesn't tend to go on for too long. And even then, just like the fight in the reads, is very much stop, start. Okay, let me assess. Let me see his footing. Let me see my footing. Start, stop. And it just keeps going like that again and again. And it's very much about effectiveness as well and trying to end it as quickly as possible. Because if you're on an actual battlefield, you have to get through all these hundreds of people. Are you actually going to survive? So it's, yeah, the battles were very quick, and like even the technique, this is going off a bit, but it's on YouTube or whatnot, watch like some masters, the difference between cutting in a very
Are
specific
you guys talking? Are you talking about the bamboo mat cutting dude? Because it's the
that's one of them.
okay, yeah. Because like you have a bunch of like students who have like swords and have to cut like a rolled up bamboo mat, and you have to like slice it in a perfect angle, or it doesn't count, or you get no points or something. Then you get the guy who's like looks like someone's grandpa, but he gets 5 rolled up bamboo mats all stacked together perfectly, and it's just like goes, oh wow, you cut them perfectly, and it's like a perfectly cut line, and it's like someone got a ruler and went, nope, perfect. And I was like, damn, that's awesome.
But you see those where you have people who have samurai swords and stuff, and they're trained in this kind of thing, and they don't get it through, and it just gets stuck in the first one, and they're just kind of like, oh fucking bollock. And it's like, because they haven't got the technique right, and it's like the technique is like very, very central to this. And there was like an old guy, and he used to do, I can't remember his name whatsoever, but like my dad showed me a picture of it, showed me a video of him once, and he was doing like Bokken strikes, but it was ending in the same spot every single time. And he was like, once you got to that level, but like it was actually just like that, and then like that. Yeah. But it was just stopping in the same spot. And he's like, that's so fucking hard to do.
Yeah, because you would have to have the wrist strength to just stop the momentum, which is actually quite hard to do in itself.
You can see me doing it here. I'm not doing it every time. It's shit. But like this guy was just stopping it literally there every single time. It's like, damn, that's crazy. Just lost my train of thought there. It's not alcoholism. I'm just eating a lot of Skittles. But yeah, like
samurai swords are cool. That's what you want to get from it.
Samurai swords are so cool.
And they also would snap other samurai swords, which isn't really the point of a samurai sword, I guess. But like, yeah,
that's what the Sire for. That's what the red Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle used to have. You used to catch the samurai sword in one of the prongs, and you just snap it.
Yeah, can't really. I mean, you technically could cut a samurai sword with one other samurai sword, but it's not really how that works. Especially in the movie, I was like, I mean, that's a bit movie magic-ish, but it's like, I'll let it pass because it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be the epic duel scene, and it's like, yeah, he's got like castle sieging experience, maybe he's used to it before. It's like that's not really how that works.
But yeah, a lot went into being a samurai, and it was, I don't know. It's funny. It was like it's amusing. It was just like a birthright thing, rather than a skill thing. And I think that's very integral to a lot of Hanshiro's philosophy. And I think, honestly, I think this might be my favorite scene. Actually, the thing where Motomo is trying to get into an employment line, and the guy comes out and he goes, I can't have a two-sworded employee here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get fucked in the ass if you're here. So like, can you like fuck off? And it's like, damn, what do? You're literally too high class to do manual labor. You literally can't go to the lowest point where you're just doing manual stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're too high class to do it. Like, damn, that's.
I think that's another great thing about how it's written, though, right? Because like, again, it's like a subversion of the whole thing. Because the only reason that the samurai that you're familiar with are heroes is because they've got an opportunity to be heroes, and because it's not a time of peace. Whereas because this is a time of peace, it means that there's no use for you, but you can't do anything else because, like, it's like that thing that they say about politicians. It's like there's nothing as an ex-politician, but it's like, yeah, like with a samurai, what do you do if there's no need for a warrior? Like it's.
So that's why they're playing doing archery, the traditional archery way, and like their kids are like making paintings and poems. It's just like, oh, what are we just going to do? We're just doing archery, and we're counting rocks. We're literally counting how many rocks are there in the fucking castle. That's literally what we're doing. We're so fucking bored, and it's like, yeah, and it's like, which is it's the correct positioning. I saw that, I was like, nice. They actually got it like scientifically accurate.
Because that's sort of what we see in Seven Samurai as well, where the bandits are killed and they fuck off, and the village is fine now. What do we do with the samurai? And it's like, oh, no, we don't care now. Like, 4 of them died. Fuck it. Like, they're free to do whatever the fuck they want to do. We gave them their rice and eat shit.
Which is why, in like historical terms, a lot of the bandits were samurai, because they're like, what are we doing now? We just know how to kill and stuff. So we'll continue doing that. To the populace? Yeah, sure, why not? It's just like that's the only way you could survive. Kill, steal their rice, keep living.
This is something you brought up as like an interesting thing, where we're talking about, we've only had 2 samurai films in Film Club. We've had Seven Samurai and Harakiri. And Seven Samurai was about a bunch of disparate people coming together to achieve a common good, which ends with them just kind of getting fucked over, and that's it. They're just kind of left to just
Sammys
go about their business. Whereas Harakiri is about like a very like kind of complex sort of political structure, but it's also kind of like, but what does that mean when you get to like kind of the brass tacks of it? Where you go, my son-in-law had to fucking kill himself with a bamboo sword because of you. Because of your preconceptions about honor and shite like that. You made him gut himself far more painfully than he would have done, like by his own, by like any other standards that any other house would have had, because you treated him like an extortionist and not as a person, because no one asked why he was doing any of this. You forced him to like kill himself in like the worst possible way because he was impinging on like the honor of a samurai. Like, why do you have the right to do that? Why does anyone have the right to do that? And that's like the question it's holding. And I feel like it was really interesting to have it not be answered. I feel like it was a question didn't have an answer. I feel like it was something that the film criticized, but like it wasn't something they went, this is the clear way out of this. And like,
it's another one. In that sense, it's another one a little bit like After Sun, where it's like it'll present you with a question to ask, but it's not going to tell you what the answer is. Like that's like the film kind of like trusts you to come to your own conclusion with it, and
because I was like, is this I was watching it and going like, is it criticizing Harakiri? And I'm like, I don't know that it is. I feel like it's criticizing certain attitudes toward it, but I don't know if it's criticizing Harakiri as a whole.
Yeah, well, I think it's like the conversation that me and Pat always have about communism, because it's like it's like every example of communism has gone badly, but the problem isn't the ideology of communism. The problem is that it's a power structure, and the power structure is why people are sort of led to act cruelly within it. Like if you could have a system without a structure, then great. But the problem is always the power structure. It's not necessarily the ideology behind it.
And I think that's so cool at the end when it goes. It's just them writing a diary and going like, yeah, well, now this has happened. You know, it's fine. We've got past it. We're not going to mention it ever again, and I'm sure we'll last another season.
Mm.
And it's like the end of that sentence is, unless the Shogun decides to do exactly what he's done with the last couple of houses and just decide that he's upset with them and go, fuck you guys. And then you're doing the exact same thing to the last house that hasn't been disbanded.
Mm.
I think that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just that, hopefully we'll last a winter. It's like, yeah, hopefully you will. However, you probably won't. Until the Shogun goes, yeah, fuck you guys. You suck. You haven't built the west side of my castle very well. So eat shit. 12,000 people can go and beg to the other houses for help. I don't know. Eat shit.
That's when the Dutch and the Americans come with the guns. Yep, it's all gonna go from west to there.
You guys, I am the Shogun. You guys will have to rely on Tom Cruise now.
That's not a phrase you kind of want to hear because yes.
I don't want to
It's
rely
just
on
like-
Tom Cruise.
He just gone. Okay. Shit, I forgot what I was going to go with that.
I think that's such a fucking fantastic end of that story. You just have that. You have them emitting that from history, and then going on the exact same path. Like, yeah, that's great. That's so funny. Like, I'm guessing people just sort of moving their heads around like that is because of an internet connection. But
What happened?
I don't know. I said. I think it's funny that they're saying that when that's probably going to happen to them soon. That Simon kind of started moving around. How are you doing, Pep?
I'm all right, thanks. How are
Good
you?
chat. I'm all right.
Good,
Okay,
good.
now I'm back. Okay. I heard. Yeah, that was how it's doing, and it just like cut out suddenly. I was like, oh no, did he?
Oh, thank
Yeah.
Christ.
And then it froze when you drinking. I was like, oh okay, weird. I was like, oh okay.
It's not that, is it?
Cool. So, oh no. Well, I mean, you just suddenly go, yeah, then freeze frame like this, then go like this. So I was like, huh? Did I it just cut a couple of frames on my computer? The laptop was just lagging just ever so slightly. So, was there anything else to mention?
Would you like to give thoughts on Harakiri?
Or would you like to give mention to if you preferred Ghost of Tsushima to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice?
I haven't played Sekiro yet, to be fair.
Sekiro
Well,
was
actually,
the
I
game...
have, but I've only played like an hour of it.
I mean, so you fought the first boss then, because you know it's a From Software game, and you have to die from the first boss because obviously, but
all their games, I tend to play an hour, die about 20 million times, and then just like, yeah, I'll come back to this.
Sekiro was the game I thought you guys were talking about, rather than Ghost of Tsushima.
I know, because both are very good, like Japan with samurai sword games, but it's like
No,
Sekiro is like,
I thought it was.
oh yeah, because I think Sekiro is monsters and Ghost of Tsushima is man is the monster. So that's the best. That's the best way to describe that, I guess. Yeah, because man is
Alec
always
has no time for this.
So it's just like I don't know. I feel like all the points. I think we've went through like pretty much all of the big talking points. The only thing I could only mention is like, do you guys understand the reference between a kite and a hawk? I guess is when they were talking about it when Hashiro was talking. We're having the flashback scene when they were playing archery, and he was talking to his mate, and he was talking about how he's taking care of his kid, and he's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's you were a kite, but you gave birth to like a hawk. You guys like get that like sort of like reference to like Buddhist? Is it a very Buddhist reference essentially? I think none of you guys would probably understand it. It's because it's kind of like growing up in life or having kids and having kids, and it's you who is like a hawk or an eagle or something having kids, and the type of kid they might not be as special or as big as you, but their kids might also be better than you as well. Essentially, it starts off with like a mother phoenix giving birth to a peacock, which gives birth to an eagle, but the eagle's kids become a phoenix again. It's very like Buddhist, like reincarnationist thing, and it's like I don't think anyone else except for me here would probably get the references. I was like, oh yeah, that's very philosophical. I don't think people care about it too much, but like, yeah, I get it. But like, yeah, it's like, yes, the kite and the hawk, and it's like, because they understood it, and they were like, ha ha ha, yeah, I'm a single dad, I could take care of my kid, yeah, ha ha ha. I was like, it's a bit niche the way that you explained it, especially with like Buddhist reincarnational texts, but like. It's like
Sorry, Simon, can you explain it again? I got lost.
essentially the point. Yeah, it's so, but it's like Buddhist scripture stuff. It's kind of like you, like you, as an adult, as a parent, can give birth to different sort of things, but they can grow up to be less, let's say, majestic, because it starts off with a mother phoenix giving birth to a peacock, and like a peacock is not like a bad bird. It's quite a cool bird, but and that peacock can give birth to like an eagle, and it's like they're all birds, but like they have different, let's say, powers or like
Stations.
Stations is probably good, yeah, but like just because. Just because you give birth to like the peacock and the eagle, but afterwards the eagle might give birth to a phoenix again, and it's just like it's like a lot of like reincarnation, this stuff, but they said it so off the cuff, and like so like, oh yeah, I get the reference. I just like, not everyone will get that reference. Like no one but probably me here would probably get that reference. I was just like, okay,
but in Japan, especially at the time, most people probably would have got that reference.
I mean, it's a bit weird as well, because like, what is the son-in-law's name again? It's
Motome.
Motome Chijiwa.
Yeah. Motto was teaching Confucianists.
That was shit.
Yeah, he was teaching Confucianists, and I was like, why are you teaching Confucius? It's like so out there for you to be teaching. Like,
yeah,
it was just like, I mean,
you know what's bad? I thought Confucius was like I don't know why I thought this, but I thought he was like another Greek guy. I thought he was like up with Plato and stuff like that, and I was like, damn, he's teaching Confucius, and I was like, oh, he's part. Yeah, no, he probably is Asian actually. He's not a Greek guy at all.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, no.
But I was like, why is he teaching like Greek philosophers? And then I was just like, I don't think Confucius was a fucking Greek philosopher.
Well, it had the same effect. I was still, I was like, wait a minute, he's teaching. That's Chinese.
Yeah.
I just saw it and I was like, hang on a second. Why is this guy? I was like, oh.
Oh, I mean, it's no. I mean, like in general, the class would be just a bit weird. It's just like, yes, you're in feudal Japan and you're learning about like ancient China. It's like it doesn't work like nowadays. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm in England, but I'm taking a class in Latin. Why?
You know, you think like philosophy all happened in like one location with like 6 different people, and then it kind of doesn't occur to you that like, it was like a global thing, and like it happened with like lots of different people, and it was just like, oh shit, no, hang on, this was like a global thing that happened. Like other countries had philosophers other than Greece.
But maybe similar to like the Latin thing, which would still happen even in our school. I'm not saying what school we went to. Even in our school, there was still Latin classes. I think.
What? What's that?
I had no idea.
For a short period of time.
My school had Latin.
Huh?
My school had Latin.
There you go.
Yeah, but you know, Emmanuel, you said our school, as in mine, yours,
yes,
Rob's and Ben's had Latin in school. I never heard about this. I would have probably took the class just to fucking say, yeah, I did Latin in secondary school. What the fuck you gonna do about it? Yeah.
All right, J.K. Rowling.
No, fucking no way. What the fuck?
That's the appropriate reaction to that.
Anyway, the main point is that maybe it was like some very kind of niche market. He knew he could get some classes in since he couldn't get any employment in proper schools. He was teaching these little classes and these things that the main schools weren't really big on. And maybe that's how he was making his money.
Oh, okay, maybe, yeah, maybe because he was still earning a bit of money even after he left his, like, you know, afterwards they got the castle taken away by the shogun. So it's like he could have made money somehow. But it was just like a thing where it's like it was a bit contextually. It was just a bit, oh, sure. Yeah, it just confused me a bit. I was like,
I get what you mean. Okay.
So I think we've nearly hit midnight now. So anyone for favorite scenes?
I feel like I could pick so much for a favorite scene.
I had a couple because, like, and in fact, I think Rob knows exactly which ones I was gonna say because I kept sending little screenshots. Because there was a couple that I wanted to like make I don't know. I want to draw something from it. I think there was like a little bit of a scene where he's standing up against like the flag of the E clan, and like all the retainers are kind of closing in on him, and he's just got his arms out. And I was like, "Fuck hell, that's a poster. That is, that's a fucking fantastic poster. I love that." I don't know if that's my favorite scene. This is the trouble with these. I always have a couple of favorite scenes.
I think if I was to choose one, because like there's so many bits sort of like before and after the kind of, well, it's not really a reveal as such, but like I suppose when sort of your thoughts on it all change. Yeah, there's so much before and after that that I think is like so cool, and there's so many scenes from both sides that I could quite easily pick. But I think the one that maybe sort of like maybe plays both sides and sort of is kind of everything that the film is about in a way. Is the one that I mentioned earlier when the three retainers bring Matome back home and Hanshiro sees the bamboo blades and he's like, "Oh man, that's I can't believe he did that." And there's the whole thing about how he never he never thought about doing it because it's something that's so ingrained in sort of like his sort of beliefs and culture, but he sees Matome as the guy who did that to provide for his daughter and his grandson. And yeah, I think the narrative kind of flips on that bit. And that's where you see the side where you go like, oh man. And that's I think that's kind of everything that the film is about. So I think I'd probably say that.
That's such a fucking cool scene as well, because like you have that was one of the points where I was like, God damn, this was so like reliant on class. Because if you thought you were bringing back an extortionist, you didn't give a shit. So he brings him back, explains what happened in terms of like you couldn't misunderstand, and he just explains the whole thing, and he just drops the blades like straight on his neck, like he doesn't care. He just goes like, oh fuck it, and he just drops them. And I was just like, motherfucker, that's so disrespectful.
Oh,
But,
it
like-
wasn't until he went and smirked and laughed and like, yeah, this is his bamboo blades. That was like,
But like Captain Cockend is like he died a magnificent death. And I was like, okay. That's fine. And then like they just go like with the bamboo blade.
Yeah.
And then like drops the blades on his neck, and I was just like, fuck you. Like you fucking dick. Like I wouldn't if that happened. Like if I was in that situation, I'd been like, you motherfuckers, you could at least put him next to his body, but you fucking just dropped him on there like you didn't give a shit. But it was like, it's not my culture, it's Japanese culture. And Japanese culture, they don't believe that they've committed any kind of slight or anything because he was an extortionist. So it doesn't matter where they chuck him. So they might as well have just chucked him there. But for Hanshiro, who knows what that guy was worth, that's kind of what causes him to go. And he's like, I will target these motherfuckers. I will target Kawabe and Yazaki and that guy whose name I can't pronounce. I'm gonna fucking have him. I gotta say that, Manuel. I am surprised you like this so much.
Good.
I mean, I gave it a 5 for enjoyment. No, 6 for enjoyment.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed you enjoyed this so much.
Oh, it's not like it had lots of scenes. It was just sad.
Because but it also had like so many tropes in it, you know, like the samurai who's on a mission of vengeance.
I
Who's
haven't
I was
many-
like,
I haven't seen many samurai films, by the way.
oh.
So,
I was sitting there like, oh, will it be a Pyrrhic victory? I guess. Oh, there he goes. Yep, that's it. I was like, Emmanuel will hate this because there's so many tropes in it.
also, with the title of the film, you know it's not ending well.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yes, going through.
That's the thing about the title. I had no idea what it meant. All I knew from Rob was it was a samurai film, so I was expecting some sort of battle. I thought that's what the name was. And about 10 minutes
okay.
in, I was like,
Battle
"Oh,
in the
this
guts.
isn't what I was expecting." So I googled it. I was like, "Oh, that's what it means."
did the not give it away? Although I suppose if you don't know what it is, you probably wouldn't have recognised what that
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw a smiley face.
meant.
But yeah, it's anyway. In terms of,
Nice.
in terms of favorite scenes, I'll just go through some moments I liked. So,
All the moments.
Just be mindful of any tropes.
what?
If there's any tropes, just be aware they have to be bad.
Fuck, you know.
I don't know. You're talking to the wrong person.
No,
Anyway,
no, you know all about tropes.
I don't. But okay, cool. Uh, the part made me smile when obviously this guy, he's ready to die. He's got nothing to lose. He's doing a sideways moonwalk while like holding his arms. Like,
What it's called.
and I was just like, oh man. And what makes me laugh is because all these guys around him are so scared. They're just like, wait, do we go? And it's like, no, let's keep going back. It is so funny. But it's great. I love it. And
I gotta say, if I was cornering someone and they started doing like a moonwalk, I'd be like, I ain't gonna fuck with this guy. I gotta say, I'm moving to Guatemala. He won't find me there. I'm getting on a plane, and then I'd get to the
you want a
airport,
lift?
and I'd be like, "This is feudal Japan," and I'm like, "I don't care. I need to get away from this guy."
but yeah, I think probably one of my favorite moments was when he really flipped it on them and was just like, oh yeah, those three guys, yeah. Well, two of them took their top knot. Doom. The third one, fast forward, there's his top knot.
Yeah, I was fully expect him to say the third one. I took more than his top knot. Find it buried here.
I also took his foreskin.
Do you know what? That was one thing actually. When I was watching it the first time this week, I remembered. You know the scene where like the guy's cleaning up afterwards and he takes one of the top knots off the floor. I remembered that being so much more comedic than it was. Like,
It was comedic. It was still quite funny because he was like, "Look at this guy! Stop that! Okay, throw it in the bucket."
I like the idea you just cut away after you've taken it. And like you come to the end and he's just like, "Give me back my top knot," and he's like, and he just jumps around.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a great one because he already preluded to that, saying to how obviously if he proceeds to do things differently, some people are gonna get hurt. He doesn't want to lose people or have any injuries or stuff. And now he's just proved how deadly he can be. That look, your three best done, ended. What you gonna do? Do you really think you want to not listen to me right now? Into yeah, there's just quite a few moments. You have that, and then in terms of other moments I like, where he was basically saying how he would have gone peacefully. He if he he would go peacefully if only they would admit their fault. If only you admit your fault, then I will just end it now. You know what? I want to take that with me so that, you know, he gets to hear that. But the fact that you can't, I'm gonna have to do the next best thing and take as many of y'all with me. And it's just that whole moment where the counselor is sitting and like he can't bear to face, he can't face it. He knows what's gonna happen. And even when the people are coming, he faces away as if, you know, prideful. I'm not eager. I'm not listening. I'm not on edge. No, I'm just facing the wall, waiting for, you know, your matter of fact report. It's yeah, it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me, this is a very random reference. It is probably quite bad, but in a slight way, it kind of reminds me when Luke was saying in Star Wars, the Jedi need to. He didn't say it this way. He said the Jedi need to die. But what was it like?
Oh, what did you say?
The
Oh,
Jedi need to die. The Jedi need to end. I can't remember.
Something about the ending of the Jedi. When,
the
Yeah.
reign of the Jedi is over. I don't know.
Yeah.
Long live
No.
the king. It could be something like that. I can't remember.
The idea is,
I believe what he said was, I wanted to kill my nephew, so the Jedi need to end.
But yeah, the Jedi need to end.
Luke
But
Skywalker, 2014.
the whole kind of thing around the samurai, it's messed up. It's corrupt. You've got lots of problems. You've got lots of facades. It might have started off good at some point, but at this point, it just needs to end.
I mean, that's why Hanshiro didn't want his daughter to be married to like one of like, oh, he didn't want his daughter to go to like the other guy's like place to study or like stuff, because essentially he's like, yeah, she's gonna get picked up by Lord Perv asshat guy, and afterwards she's gonna make him, she's gonna become his concubine. I don't want that for my daughter. I want my daughter to live a long and happy and healthy life.
And ironically,
Happy that way, unfortunately.
yeah, and
because like ironically, if she went to be his concubine, she would have money and wouldn't, you know, been lived longer at least.
Yeah, I think the main thing he regretted with that was that he didn't realize, like, with a frail constitution, just what would happen if she kept doing this type of work. And if she did go off, he could have at least grown older to see her grow older and actually live a more full life. And he would have preferred that if he had known that, obviously, with hindsight, which is really sad, because just like, he also would have, in a way, sacrificed something if he had known that this could be the price, but he didn't know that would be the price. So he didn't know he should have sacrificed that to provide her with an actual longer life. Which is, oh man, that was so sad.
Oh, admittedly though, this is being meta about it, and like seeing when she did the coughing with the blood stuff, I noticed that her teeth were colored in like jet black ink, or like her teeth were completely like painted black, and I was thinking, why is that? Then I remember someone told me about it. It's because like, yeah, because like it's because like when they were filming in black and white, if you have like your teeth completely painted black, your smile shines actually better than it would if it was not like, if it was just like white teeth, because the reflections on the cameras and stuff wouldn't show up properly. So if you had painted black teeth, your smile would be better. I was like, huh, that's just like weird camera techniques back in the day. But I was like, cool.
That's very
Okay,
interesting. That's very
not
interesting.
It's also like outside of camera, and I thought you was going to mention this, how, and it's not all the time, and there's different festivals throughout the year in Japan as well that kind of pay homage to this still, but it was also a real sign of beauty sometimes that they would get charcoal and paint their teeth black. And that was certain signs of beauty in certain parts of Japan. And like also sometimes it was gestation, sometimes it was a sign of how you look after yourself. So when I saw it, I just assumed, oh, that must be charcoal. Because sometimes they did that. It was just like, oh yeah, she's young. She would do that to be like, yeah, I'm looking after myself and this or that. But I didn't know about the film thing, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Because contextually wise, the character is only supposed to be 20, 21, 22 when she dies, right? Because like she got married about 18, and 2 years after the grand. Yeah, so she died at the ripe age of about 22, which for during that period of time was still not very long. But like fucking hell, yeah, that's like I said. So anyone else for favorite scenes? Probably happier than this one. Anyone else? Because I think, I think I mentioned mine, which is just like the samurai with the armor from Takeda Shingen dying or falling twice because of guns, and I think that's contextually quite cool. But anyone else for favorite scenes?
Not necessarily a scene, but there was a line that made me laugh. I made a note of it.
Was it "Don't give the babe your tits"?
Oh, fuck's sake!
Fuck yes! Pat, why did you and I have the same sort of brain? It's
I made a note of it as well. I was sitting there watching it, and I was sort of reading the subtitles and looking up, and I was like, yeah, that's that's sort
of okay. We have the same sort of wavelength.
Yeah. I kind of guessed someone was going to guess what sort of dialogue I did find funny, but
I didn't expect to hit it right on the head, but like cool.
Like obviously because I wasn't 100% I didn't 100% get the film. I don't necessarily have a favorite scene, but probably from much of the last sort of half an hour, I think sort of can't really pick too much out of that as a favorite scene. I enjoyed that whole sort of end segment. Now that I know everyone was a bit squeamish about the first stabbing, that's sort of now going up my list as well. I sat there watching it and I was like, okay.
But I mean, like it's not even just the stabbing; it's because it's stabbing with a blunt knife. It's kind of like stabbing. Yeah, I think I said earlier, it's like stabbing yourself with a spoon. Technically, you could do it, right? But like, it's horrendous to think about. It's just like,
at least he's not fat. Could you imagine me trying to do that? Fucking hell, it'd take forever.
But the point is, like, that's the whole point why he was like, the guy was like, can you not just bring down the sword? No, you ain't done yet. Do it properly. Then I'll give you the quick death. And I was like, yeah, asshole. And
Redbeard's asleep.
yes, Harakiri.
Yeah, I think I could echo Pat in that respect, because it's kind of like the two scenes are probably like the bamboo scene is probably the most impactful, and the final like climax of the movie is probably the most gripping. But just like the symbolic nature of, as Simon mentioned, like the armor being fallen and being torn down, and all that bit was probably one of my favorite bits. Just to see them all just go after him, and just him going into the throne room, and the armor being torn down from its post, and he's just being so desperate to just like fight his way out.
Rob, how many times had you seen this film before you picked it?
Twice before I picked it, and now 4 times.
Would you say that you probably learnt more from your second and third viewings than when you watched it the first time?
To be honest, I think the thing that you learn most from is just other samurai films. Because I think the more that you've watched beforehand, and the more kind of like familiar you are with the conventions of the genre and like how samurai are usually presented in films, I think the more you get out of this, because it's
Okay.
kind of like using those conventions to like sort of mess with your head a bit, because it kind of like it never sort of says anything like explicitly, but I think it works on the basis of, you know, what this usually means, so you're going to be on this person's side, but you might not have considered this, and then that's where you get like the narrative flip from the clan are in the right to Matome was having a really difficult time. And yeah, I think it's way more interesting if you've seen loads of samurai films where they've had these opportunities to be heroes, and now in this one they don't anymore.
So not The Last Samurai or Samurai Jack.
But mate, I love The Last Samurai. I will not say a bad word about The Last
Have
Samurai.
you seen Samurai Jack though?
Yeah, but
I haven't
Samurai
seen
Jack is
Samurai
not technically a samurai again. He's Ronin himself. Oh wait, no, that's a whole other conversation as well. Which reminds me that one of my movies for my 20th, for my random 20 pick, is actually a samurai movie.
Oh wait, I missed that. Which one is it?
It's one of the live action movies.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, that's a
Cool.
samurai movie. Yeah.
Nice.
What was I saying again?
Oh man, I missed another one there actually. Oh man, there's some great picks on him.
Yeah, sorry, but like, yeah, love. I'd say, oh yeah, sorry. The question I was going to ask is, you said there was a remake of this movie.
Yeah.
Made in 2011.
I think it's 2002, but I might be wrong.
Oh,
But yeah, it's by the director who did like Audition and Itchy the Killer, and it's one of those things like it's not a bad film, but it's kind of like, well, was there any point remaking it? Like, you didn't really improve anything. You just filmed it in color.
As Ben would say, the remake is called Two Hara, Two Kiri.
Oh wait, how many? So you've watched it then? You've actually watched it then?
Yeah, like do you know what? It's not a terrible film like on its own. Like it's all right. I just think there wasn't any need to remake it.
So if I watched that film first, I went, okay, all right. Then I watched this film, I'll probably be like, oh yeah, this film is much better than that one. Oh damn. Damn it, for myself now. I was gonna go, okay, maybe I'll check it out. Oh, but now if you say it like that, it's like,
yeah. For some reason as well, they made it 3D, and it's like there was nothing in this that needed to be 3D.
Yeah, okay.
A weird fascination with it. Are you sure James Cameron didn't make it?
To be fair, Takashi Miike, who did do it, he's kind of like a Japanese James Cameron. Like he's
that sounds very troublesome. It's like,
well, it's kind of that thing where like he's got a filmography of like really good films, but he does chase the money a bit.
I guess like all like directors have a certain period of that time. I guess James Cameron obviously being a bit too much. It's like, You can say that about Michael Bay, to be honest. It's like, yeah, I made one movie. I like the big explosions and stuff. I guess I'll make another 4 movies that are also about explosions and bright giant robots and shit. I don't really care.
The thing with James Cameron is he wasn't like that before he made Titanic. And then he's just been like, I want all my films to be top earners of all time. And if they're not, I'll re-release it with a little change.
See, man, it's exactly what Harakiri is about. The power structure of box office returns has corrupted him and made him do cruel things like re-release Titanic.
Yeah, releasing it the first time was bad enough.
Didn't release
So
it
in saying
3D.
that, if he re-released Titanic and cut the first 2 hours, I'd fucking love it.
But you need the character build-up. It's kind of the point.
The characters do me head in.
No. Oh, this is going to be a
My favourite
conversation about
character-
Titanic now.
My favourite character was the iceberg.
You need the character build-up. It needs to be a bit slow before it hits the big climactic finish, or it's no point. It's like it just big climactic finish. There's no care about the characters. There's no care about the thing. Heck, there would not even be a care about the iceberg if you didn't build up those characters first, because you'd be like, it would be American videos. It's like, yeah, boat hits iceberg, people fall in the water. Way. Like,
I mean, to be fair, where Titanic's concerned, I have watched a lot of like documentary stuff about it. I think the film I've seen probably too many times. Like I had to a point where I hadn't seen it in ages, and I was like, maybe it's got better as I got older, and I sit down and watch it. I'm like, bleh. But like I've enjoyed like a lot of the documentary stuff that I've seen.
okay, that's fair enough. I do like Titanic with its alternate ending slightly better.
To be fair, speaking of Titanic, me and Rick had a conversation about it yesterday.
Oh, really? What was that?
We were just talking about the door, like whether Leonardo DiCaprio could have got on the door, but then we were like, well, in terms of balancing the weight, I mean, her being on the door was probably unrealistic as well, because as a body gets on such a surface, the door's going to start tipping into the water, ain't it?
I mean, okay. Now there's lots of people who have this conversation, and I can't believe we're having this conversation right now. It really depends on how buoyancy a wooden door made in that particular time period would be. Like, you could say about that, but it's like surface area, but it's like really depends on the material of the door, which was it wood? Was it? I mean, it couldn't have been metal. I'm like, what quality was the wood? Was it painted? And it's all just there are people who are like on Reddit who have like serious in-depth conversations about this, which I don't think we should have now, because Jesus Christ, we've really divulged from what we were talking about, a Japanese revenge flick essentially. But let's go back to that. So because Alec is completely out. Shall we just go on to Ben? What was the double bill that we already know? I love you too.
Yeah, the double bill is you could say a sequel to Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, or basically, it's the American remake, Magnificent Seven, and then followed by the Pixar remake, A Bug's Life.
Any order you want it?
I'd say in the release order, Magnificent Seven first, then Bug's Life. Yeah.
Because when you said remake Magnificent Seven, I was like, didn't they do a remake with like Chris Pratt as well?
Yeah, it's not that one. It's not the Denzel Washington one. If it's a trilogy round, I might consider it. But yeah,
it'd be highly unfair to watch the remake of Magnificent Seven.
Okay. Original Magnificent Seven. Bug's Life. Cool.
This is our first Western as well, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Beat me to it.
That's pretty cool. So back to back, we've got our first Western and our fourth Pixar film.
Yes.
Wait,
Coco.
so did you say Magnificent Seven and then A Bug's Life?
Indeed, so they're not dreaming.
Oh, I was so confused. I was just like, wait, what? What do those two have in common?
Well, I mean, like, oh,
Seven Samurai is what they have in common.
yeah, I mean, like characteristics of the character. I mean, yeah, characteristics that their arcs and stuff are kind of similar. What their purpose is, but I think that's a conversation to have during that particular call, because there's a very good reason why he chose these two films together. When you watch them, you will see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this double bill. And what's nice as well, and it's something that Ben didn't intend to do, but he's picked Magnificent Seven, which is one of my dad's favourite films, on the week of my dad's birthday. That's pretty sweet.
Dad's birthday.
I just curious though.
Alex is
Okay.
making this very difficult at the minute.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
More difficult than
Yeah.
he usually makes it.
Yeah, maybe we should put a pin in it.
Yeah. Let's just
You can-
now.
About it, Rob. Sorry that.
Oh, there he is.
There it is.
Anyway, but yeah, take care, y'all.
See you in a bit,
See you
man.
later, man.
See you, Mail.
Bye.
See you guys in a bit.
Goodbye, Noble Ale.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Bye.